welcome to LICD lecture 33B. Today we are going to discuss the second application of 555 timer in a stable mode, that is the Smith trigger. Now everyone knows, y'all are aware, y'all must be aware of a Smith trigger circuit. It has, let me show you the output first and then you can, then we'll come back to the working of it. Okay. Let me reduce its amplitude to 20. Yeah. So how does a Smith trigger operates? It has two levels, two triggering levels. We call it as a VUTP and VLTP. Here I'm calling it as VUT and VLT. So whenever this input crosses the upper threshold point, the output changes the state. And the next time over here, actually, in this case especially, over here there are two triggering levels, VUT and VLT. So accordingly, if the input is greater than VLT and less than greater than VUT and less than VLT, the output state will change. Okay, so we'll see that shortly now. Okay, fine. Let me show you in the simulation first and then we'll go back to the circuit diagram. Okay, a Smith trigger. Okay, so in a Smith trigger circuit, there is one change over here. Actually, there is a big change. RA and RB, there is no capacitor connected over here across. Okay, earlier we had connected a capacitor, but over here, if we see this diagram, there is no capacitor connected over here. Okay, instead, also there are some more changes. There, pin number 7 is not connected only anywhere, as you can see, because there is no capacitor, there is no requirement of a discharge terminal. Okay, instead we have connecting a AC input over here. Okay, and that AC input is being connected to point number A via a capacitor 0.01. You know, that's a AC input, right? That can have also a DC component. So to block the DC component of the AC, we have connected a capacitor of 0.01 microfarad to pin number A, and both the trigger input and the threshold voltage, that is pin number 2 and 6, are connected together to RA and RB. Okay, and pin number 7 is out of the picture. So this is the functional block diagram of the same. The same thing I have explained. Earlier the pin number 7 was connected. Okay, but right now there are some slight changes. Please note it. Pin number 7 was connected over here, but now it is completely changed. There is no pin number 7. Pin number 7 is not connected, and you have only your AC input, which is connected to point number A via 0.01 microfarad capacitor. Now if we consider RA and RB as same, let's consider RA to be same as RB, and if VCC is 5 volt, now what will be point number A? So point number A will be definitely at VCC by 2. Everyone agreeing? If RA and RB are same, so point number A will be at 2.5. That is VCC divided by 2. Okay, so that's the DC, and we are giving a AC over here. That's the same thing we have connected over here. As you can see, the pin number 7 is not connected. So RA and RB, we have taken it as 100K, and C1 is 0.01 microfarad. Okay, and here there is control voltage is directly connected to the ground via 0.01 microfarad capacitor. Okay, and here the input signal, the DC offset is 2.5. You can understand why it is 2.5, because over here also we have the DC level as 2.5. So it will only be natural if we take the DC level, DC offset of the sine wave also at 2.5, and its amplitude is 2 volts. What is the meaning of this? Amplitude 2 volts and a DC shift of 2.5. So what's the maximum and a minimum value of this sine wave? Anyone? Hello? So if I have a sine wave of a DC shift of 2.5 and an amplitude of 2 volts, what is my minimum and maximum value of it? The amplitude of the sine wave.
4.5 to 0.5.
Correct, absolutely correct. So that is what we will observe over here. So see, 4.5 to 0.5. Okay, so this is my sine wave. Now I'll observe the output. So this is my output, and this is the after the capacitor we are connecting it. Yeah, here it is. So this is my, ignore the first cycle basically. Okay, so kindly consider the waveform from this time period. Let me just check how much is that. Yeah, let it be. Just ignore the first cycle. I mean, first cycle will, yeah, you can consider, not a problem, but you normally start with a second cycle. So whenever, let's say this is my input, right? So whenever my input is cutting the output, that is my upper triggering point. So over here, this is my upper triggering point, right? Let us check how much it is. Okay. Anyone have a guess how much it is? It is 3.33. And how much is 3.33? 2/3 of VCC, correct? If you do 10 divided by 3, it will be 3.33. That is 2/3 of VCC. Are you understanding this? And what is my lower triggering point? Let us check that. So over here, as you can see clearly, the output will change the state whenever the input crosses a certain level. Over here, this is the level, this dotted line is the level. Okay. So whenever the input blue waveform crosses this dotted line, then only my output state will change from the, the +5 to 0 volts. And whenever the input crosses the lower threshold level. So this is my lower threshold level. So if whenever the input goes below this lower threshold level, my output state will change from 0 to 5 volts. This is the normal Smith trigger, right? That's how the Smith trigger works. Let me just expand this. And let me check this out. This is 1.66. So 1.66, if I'm not wrong, it is 1/3 of VCC. So 5 divided by 3, someone can check. 5 divided by 3, is it coming 1.66? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that means what? My upper threshold level and my lower threshold level are 2/3 VCC and 1/3 VCC. So my VUTP is 2/3 VCC and my VLTP is 1/3 VCC. Okay. So that's how the circuit will function. Now let me, I think I have made a mistake in the output waveforms. That's why I'm showing from the simulation. Okay. So again, I repeat, whenever the input crosses the upper threshold level, then only my output state will change from +5 to 0. And whenever the input goes below, goes below this lower threshold point, my output will change from 0 to 5 volts. In this case, it is 555 timer. We have studied earlier Smith trigger using 741 op amp, but this is using 555 timer. Okay. Now let me go back to the PDFs. I hope that those points are clear now. Okay. Yeah. So now let me go back to the theory part. A little bit of it we will see quickly, and then we will move on to the next application. Okay. These waveforms, please don't consider, they are slightly wrong. I have by mistake, drawn it in the other sense. So I will correct that and give it to you in the new PDF. Okay. So do you remember one statement about Smith trigger? It converts any irregular shape of input into a square wave. Definitely it will convert that. So this is output is a square wave. So input may not be even a sine wave. But what is criteria? What is the criteria for a Smith trigger? When this Smith trigger will disappear? Anyone? Whatever shape may be, but there is one criteria which you need to follow. What is that criteria? Anyone? For Smith trigger to be functioning. Hello, please tell quickly because we have around 10 minutes more only.
When
The
UTP
criteria.
or LTP is smaller than the input.
Correct. So that means input should be greater than VUTP and LTP combined. So over here, correct. This is what you want to talk, right? Yeah. So your input amplitude which you are applying, maybe any irregular shape, it should be greater than your VUTP and VLTP combined. Okay, so that's the only condition which we have. Combined in the sense VUTP should be greater, I mean the input should be greater than the VUTP voltage, and similarly on the negative side. Fine, so that's how it operates. So let me keep this aside over here like this. Okay, I think this is the better position to keep it. Yeah. So now let me explain it. the two internal comparators. Yeah, these are the two internal comparators which are tied to VCC by 2 now. Okay, so earlier my VUTP and VLTP were basically earlier in the sense. Now if I connect this at VCC at since I have not connected any capacitor over here, my point number A will be at 2.5 volts. Okay, so this 2.5 volts is applied simultaneously to pin number 2 and pin number 6. Are you agreeing to this point? Hello? Yeah. Over here, if I expand it a little, yeah. So 2.5 volts and plus you have a sinusoidal signal. Okay. So 2.5 volts and you have a sinusoidal signal. Where is that signal? Over here, like this. So 2.5 volts is the what we can say is the DC level, and about 2.7 volts it's reaching up till 4.5, and in the below direction it is going till 0.5. That means what? My voltage at point number A can go max to 4.5 and min to 0.5. So accordingly, my output state of my comparator will change, or both the comparator will change, and accordingly, my if you see the functioning, the RS flip flop will be set and reset, and accordingly, my output of the timer will change. Okay, so let us see this. Initially, we assume that the output is high. Okay, and Vin increases slightly, so the voltage at point number A will increase, right? So whenever the voltage at point number A reaches a voltage greater than 2/3 VCC, so see over here, pin number 5 is intact. Huh? This is 2/3 VCC only. So right now pin number 6 is increasing. Okay. So whenever pin number at voltage at pin number 6 increases beyond 2/3 VCC, my comparator A output will be high, whereas my comparator B output will be still low, because see pin number 2 is at 2.5, which is greater than 1/3 VCC. That means my comparator A output will be low. So that means what? My R is 1 and S is 0. Whenever my R is 1, my output is reset. That means Q bar will be 1. If Q bar is 1, my output will be low. Okay, so that's what it is giving over here. So this will reset the RL flip-flop. Thus the output will switches to low state from high state whenever the input, the voltage at point number A is reaches greater than 2/3 VCC. So that is what we observe over here. Okay, so if whenever this blue line, the input over here try to increase beyond 2/3 VCC, my output will change the state from high to a low value. Okay, so that's what it has been described over here. I hope that this is clear now. Okay, let me explain the other case and then we'll wind up for this working. Okay, similarly, if my Vin decreases, if Vin decreases means what? If Vin decreases from 2.5 to 0.5, so that voltage at point number A decreases. So let's say it's decreasing and reaches a value that, yeah, it can go right to 1/3 VCC, less than 1/3 VCC. 1/3 VCC is 1.66. So let's say my amplitude is reducing from 2.5 to 1/3 VCC, that is 1.66, and it's going to below, trying to go below that. So what will happen? My comparator A output is still low. I mean, our output will be low because voltage at pin number 6 is 1.66, less than 1.66, and pin number 2 is also less than 1.66. So comparator B output will be high, comparator A output will be low. That means S is 1 and R is 0. That will set the output. That means Q will be 1, so Q bar will be 0. So whenever Q bar is 0, my output will be high. Okay, so what will happen? My output, this will set the RS flip-flop. So the output will switch from high state to low state. Okay, let us observe that in the waveform. So over here, whenever this blue color is my, the voltage at the point number A. So whenever it tries to goes below this 1/3 VCC point, the output will change the state from 0 volts to plus 5 volts. Is this clear? Yeah. Fine. So the voltage 2/3 VCC is called as upper trigger voltage, denoted by VUTP, and the voltage 1/3 VCC is called as lower trigger voltage. You remember all this is happening without the capacitor into picture. Huh? So the capacitor, neither the capacitor is charging nor discharging, because it is not there only in the picture, because there is pin number 7 is open over here, not connected. So this is the way the circuit will operate. Okay, the entire process will repeat itself. As you can see from this waveforms, the entire process will repeat itself, and that's how the circuit will operate as a Smith trigger. Any doubts, anyone in this? So you will get a square wave output, okay? And one more thing important to remember is okay. Let me just get back that circuit. Okay, yeah. One more thing you want, if you remember, is the frequency of the input signal and the output signal will remain the same. Okay, over here. That's one thing. The frequency of the square wave remains same as that of the input signal. Okay. Any doubts in this? Any doubts at all? The waveforms I'll correct it. No problem about it. And rest everything is fine. Okay, so that's it for this lecture number 33B. Next, we'll move on to the next application, that is pulse position modulation.